My name is John, and I'm 45 years old. I want to share something from my past and get some advice. This happened about 10 years ago when I was married to Sarah, my first wife. We were married for 5 years and had 2 kids, Lily and Ben, who were 5 and 3 at the time. Life was good, and everything was normal until one day. One morning, as I was driving to work, another car speeding from the other direction crashed into mine. The next thing I remember was waking up in a hospital, all bandaged up. A nurse told me I had been in a coma for 2 days. I was thankful to be alive, but I didn't know what was waiting for me. A week later, my doctor told me that my lower body was paralyzed, and I might never walk again. I was crushed. Sarah cried when she heard the news. It was tough for her, having to take care of the house and the kids on her own. I fell into a deep depression. I couldn't accept the fact that I'd be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. Every day, I just stared at the walls in my hospital room, wishing things were different. I feared I'd never play with my kids again, never dance with Sarah, or do the things I loved. To make things worse, Sarah started visiting me less. At first, she would bring the kids to see me 3 times a week, and those visits kept me going. But after a while, she came less and less. I begged her to bring the kids more often, but she said they didn't want to see me so much. I felt so alone and hopeless. Then, one day, Sarah handed me divorce papers. She told me she couldn't be with a man in a wheelchair and said, "I'm still young. I deserve someone normal." I had already started noticing how distant she had become, but I didn't expect this to happen so fast. About a month after the accident, some of my friends told me they had seen Sarah with another man, a man in his 50s. They were holding hands at cafes and shopping malls. Some people said she'd been seeing him before my accident, while others thought she just got involved with an older, wealthy man because she was desperate. It had been barely 2 months since the accident, and I was still in the hospital when I got the divorce papers. I'm calm now as I write this, but back then, I was a mess. I was heartbroken, stuck in a wheelchair, divorced, with no money and no savings because I'd spent it all on bills and the kids' education. I had insurance that covered some of my hospital bills, but I still had to use up my savings to pay for the rest. In the end, I had nothing left. I wanted to scream, hit my head against the wall, and curse everything. I don't know how I stayed strong, but something inside me kept me going. Maybe it was the desire for revenge. After leaving the hospital, I moved back to my parents' house. I was 35 years old, divorced, with no job, and completely dependent on my elderly mother. She was a florist and ran a small shop in the suburbs. With her pension and the small income from the shop, she was able to support us. Even though money was tight, she still helped me. It was so painful being a 35-year-old man relying on my 62-year-old mother. Not long after I got out of the hospital, I went to see my kids. When I got to the house, it was locked. The neighbors told me that Sarah had moved in with her new boyfriend and taken the kids with her. They said he was a rich, older man who had been married 3 times and had no kids. Some people even called Sarah a gold digger, saying she was only with him for his money. I found out where her boyfriend lived and went there. When I showed up, Sarah wouldn't let me see the kids. She said they had already adjusted to her new boyfriend and called him Daddy. She told me that seeing me would only confuse them more. When I insisted on seeing them, she threatened to get a restraining order. I didn't have any money to hire a lawyer, and I was barely surviving on my mother's small income. I had no choice but to back off. Less than 6 months after my accident, and just a few months after our divorce, Sarah was already living with another man. I was disgusted. I asked her how she could move on so quickly, but she just ignored me. I know it wasn't mature, but I was a father stuck in a wheelchair. What else could I do? I begged her to give me one chance to prove myself, but she called me a burden in her life. I asked her if she had been cheating on me before the divorce since she was already living with this man so soon after. She told me it was none of my business and told me never to show my face to her again. I stood there, thinking about our 7 years of marriage, wondering how she could replace me so quickly. With tears in my eyes, I left. I went back home, feeling completely defeated and humiliated. I cried like a little kid in front of my mother, who comforted me and told me to take control of my life again. At first, I felt lost and didn't know what to do, but I decided to help my mom in her flower shop. I started making bouquets, serving customers, and cleaning the shop. Over time, I realized that the business could grow a lot, but my mom was too fragile to handle it alone. I reached out to some of my old contacts and managed to get contracts with event planning companies to provide flowers for their events. Slowly, I built a team and began taking on contracts for decorating venues. Eventually, I started my own event management company. It took me 10 years to rebuild my life, but I did it. Throughout all of this, my mom always supported me. She motivated me to get back on my feet. A year after my accident, I found out that Sarah was leaving the city with our kids and her boyfriend. I rushed to the house to see my kids, but by the time I got there, they were already gone. Before that, I had tried many times to reach out to them, but Sarah always insulted me and pushed me away. Sarah had full custody of the children, so she could make all the decisions for them. Since I was struggling both physically and financially, I couldn't fight for joint custody. I also couldn't challenge her restraining order because I was too broke to hire a lawyer, while Sarah had her wealthy boyfriend, Evan. I wasn't sure if Evan had been with Sarah before my accident or if he came into the picture after, but I knew he was rich and had a lot of inherited property. Over the last 10 years, whenever I heard any leads about my children, I would travel to try and meet them, but I never succeeded. Sarah constantly threatened to have me arrested. With her boyfriend's wealth and connections, it seemed like they could do anything and get away with it. By the way, even after 10 years of living together, Evan never married Sarah. A year ago, I finally filed for joint custody. I had been waiting for my event management business to be stable before doing this. I filed for custody and got 15 days with my children, who will be flying to visit me next week, despite Sarah's best efforts to stop it in court. I hired a good lawyer who presented my case well, and I won. Plus, my kids are older now, and they were asked if they wanted to meet me. They said yes. I know I can't make up for the 10 lost years, but I hope I can spend some quality time with them. As the day gets closer, I feel both nervous and excited. They're now 17 and 15, and I know teenagers can be tough. I just hope they're not too mean or resentful. I have no idea what Sarah has been telling them for all these years. Should I tell them the truth about their mother? I'm really not sure. Do any of you have advice on how I should approach them? I'm really nervous, but also very excited. I missed 2 important details in my original post. First, about my current wife, Ashley. Yes, I remarried 5 years ago. Ashley is a beautiful interior designer. I met her at an event where she was designing a wedding venue, and we were providing the flowers. It wasn't love at first sight, but we got along well. We kept meeting at similar events over the next few months and became friends. Ashley was a single mother with a 3-year-old daughter. She suggested the idea of starting the event management company because she had worked for one for many years and knew the business well. I partnered with her to start the company. We dated for a year before getting married. Now, we live as a happy family of 4, Ashley, her daughter Anna, my mother, and me. Anna was happy to get a grandma, and so was my mom. The second thing I missed is about the accident compensation. I was hit by a speeding truck, so the logistics company that owned the truck should have paid me. But back then, the company got away with paying nothing by making the accident seem like my fault. I couldn't afford a good lawyer, so I didn't get any money. You know how big companies protect themselves by paying expensive lawyers. After I married Ashley, she suggested I reopen the case since we could now afford a better lawyer. The case is still in court, but my lawyer has given us a good feeling that it will be in our favor. Now, back to the story. As I mentioned before, my children were finally going to visit me after 10 years since our divorce. I was excited but nervous, and Ashley supported me through it. I went to pick them up from the airport. Lily is 15 now, and Ben is 13. They've grown into beautiful teenagers. At first, everything was awkward. We didn't know what to say to each other. On the drive home, I tried to start a conversation by asking about their school and the city, but I avoided talking about their mother. They didn't bring her up either. They were quiet, maybe waiting to put in their earphones, like most teenagers. When we got home, Ashley greeted us. The kids looked surprised, like they didn't expect her to be there. I didn't understand why they were surprised. If their mom could live with another man right after our divorce, why couldn't I remarry? Ashley had set up the guest room for them. We had lunch, and Ashley showed them the vacation plan we'd prepared. They didn't get excited, but they didn't reject it either. It was confusing for Ashley and me. After a while, they went to their room. Then, I got a call from Sarah, accusing me of tricking the kids. She said I had brought them here so Ashley and I could manipulate them. I was shocked by her behavior. She accused me of hiding my marriage from the kids. I didn't know what to say. I hung up, but she kept calling. I decided it was time to talk to my kids about it. I called them and asked what was wrong. After some hesitation, they told me they were mad at me because their mom told them I had abandoned them. Sarah had filled their heads with lies about me. I decided to tell them the whole truth. It wasn't me who left, but their mom who moved on to another man as soon as she could. They were young when it happened, but they remembered some things. I explained how Sarah took them to her new boyfriend's house and how she chased me away every time I tried to contact them. I even showed them the restraining order and all the times I tried to reach out. The kids were in tears and felt bad for believing their mom's lies all these years. Ben, my younger son, told me that he had once tried to reach out to me on social media, but Sarah found out. She guilt-tripped him and made him promise never to contact me again. The kids also told me that Sarah's husband mistreated them. At family gatherings, Sarah and the kids were treated poorly because she wasn't married, even though the man paid for their education. He wasn't a father to them. It broke my heart to hear what my children had been through. After all the truths came out, we hugged and cried together. We went on a week-long vacation to Florida, where we had an amazing time. Lily and Ben bonded with Ashley and Anna, who was turning 8. It made me so happy to see my family together. My kids posted our family photos online with the caption, "Happy Family." When Sarah saw them, she called them and yelled at them for being foolish. She blamed them for betraying her by connecting with us. She even sent me a text, threatening to stop me from seeing them if I turned them against her. I just laughed off her threats and enjoyed the rest of our vacation. After we got back, my kids met my relatives, who were thrilled to see them. It felt great to see the old family bonds coming back. Before they left, they promised to keep in touch, even with Sarah's threats. They said they felt suffocated in her house and would live with me after finishing high school. I hugged them goodbye, and they went back. Later, they confronted Sarah about the lies she told, but she turned everything around, blaming me for manipulating them. It's been a few months since they returned, but we stay in touch regularly, and I hope they'll be back with me soon. Thanks for reading. I know it's been a while since I updated, but a lot has happened. After meeting with my kids 3 months ago, my court case with the logistics company was finally settled. Guess what? I received a big compensation, not just for the accident, but for the unfairness of the first trial. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but in the first trial, the logistics company, whose truck hit me, twisted the facts and made it seem like the accident was my fault. Because of that, I didn't get any compensation. After Ashley encouraged me to appeal, I won the case this time. I told my kids the good news, and they were just as happy as I was. They wanted to come live with me, and I promised them they would stay with me for good. About a month later, Sarah showed up at my office. She took my hand and asked for forgiveness. I was shocked by her sudden visit. She confessed that after my accident, she was desperate and found an older man who wanted a younger woman. I didn't know about the term sugar baby until I looked it up that day. This man had been hurt by younger women who took his money, so he decided to settle for someone older, Sarah, who was 32 at the time. She had 2 kids, which made him trust her more. The man told her he wouldn't marry her but would keep her as his mistress because he didn't want to share his money with my kids. Sarah agreed because he promised to take care of her and pay for the kids' education. I asked why she didn't get a job, and she said she had never worked and didn't think she could live like her boyfriend provided for her. She kept saying she did it all for the kids' future and claimed they would have been poor if she hadn't done it. I got really upset and yelled at her. I said she should have given me a chance to get better. If she really cared about the kids, she could have talked to me before leaving. I told her I had moved on and didn't care about her pleas. She brought up happy memories, like our wedding and the birth of our kids, but I just shrugged them off. I told her I was a different person now, and those memories didn't matter anymore. Then, she said something horrible. She said that she and the kids were my real family, not Ashley and Anna. She even claimed Anna wasn't my daughter and that I could never have a true family with Ashley and Anna. I was disgusted by her words. She asked me to take her back so we could be a family again. I told her I loved Ashley and Anna, and they were my real family now, not her. She wouldn't leave my office, so I threatened to call the police. She finally left, and I told Ashley and my mom what happened. Ashley was upset, but she handled it well. My mom said she never liked Sarah because she was selfish. She even thought Sarah only came back because of the money I received from the court case. She's a gold digger, my mom said. When my kids heard about their mom's actions, they told her off and said she should stay out of our lives. I'm not sure how, but her boyfriend found out about the situation and told her if she contacted me again, he would kick her out. I was grateful for that. The latest news is that my kids are moving in with me this month. They'll stay with us for a while before going to college nearby. They want to experience college life and stay in a hostel, but we'll still stay in touch while giving each other space to get to know each other better. My kids have completely cut ties with Sarah, and in the end, she's left with nothing but her sugar daddy. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.